What's up, everyone? Welcome into our MLB DFS DraftKings Picks video for Tuesday, August 17th. I am your new host, Justin Bales, joined by Ben Hostler. We have switched things up a little bit on this 15-game slate just to keep you listeners on your toes. And in case you really just don't enjoy Ben hosting, which I don't know who wouldn't like it, but maybe there's some people out there that want to hear my voice a little bit more. I'm not 100% sold on that. But Ben, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good. Got to keep the viewers on their toes. You and I have done podcasts and streams together for, I think, what is it, like 3 years now? 2 years at this point? But
Long time.
generally, it's myself hosting with you. So we're just completely chalking it and just changing it up today. Bales with the intro. That was great. We just got to keep the viewers on their toes, man. They never know what's going to come next.
Yeah, it's good. As of now, go ahead. If you enjoy our content, you can find it all at dfskarma.com. I will have the breakdown up in a bit. I know Ben will have the game theory. We're pumping out NFL stuff. You can pick up our NFL preseason package, which Ben has been killing. I'm now back from vacation and will be diving much more in depth this week. We are partnered with Jock Market. If you don't know what that is, join our Discord, which is free, chatdfs.com. And we can go ahead and talk about Jock Market. You can download the app, deposit using the promo code Karma, gets you extra money. And I believe that's about it. If you enjoy our video as well, go ahead and click the thumbs up. I know Ben has been pushing for 50 likes. We haven't quite hit it, but we've come very close. So with me as the new host, I can only assume we're probably going to get to around 50. So go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Click subscribe. If you hit the little bell, it turns on notifications so you don't miss any of our content, which will be free on YouTube, running through MLB, NFL, NBA. We have literally everything. So you're going to want to go ahead and subscribe to the channel for that. But I believe we can basically get down into the slate, right?
Yeah, big slate tonight. Lots to cover here, but you covered it well. This is very simple, guys. I know there's people out there that are like, why do they keep saying this? But if you do it, then I won't keep saying it. Like the video, join the Discord. These are free things that you guys can do that cost you no money. You just click two buttons, join the Discord, like the video. We appreciate it very much. But yeah, big slate tonight. Pitching is just not great, so we can go ahead and dive in here if you want. We have an ace at the top in Corbin Burns. I don't think we need to say much about him, right? One of the best pitchers, maybe the best pitcher in the National League, with Jacob deGrom being so hurt this season. Even over the last 2 months, like really good numbers, over 30% strikeouts. Going to get a lot of righties for St. Louis tonight, so it's a really good matchup for him. I think it's a no-brainer that you're playing him. Definitely in cash games, he's the top spend up in tournaments as well. After him, everyone in that 9 to 10K tier, there's a lot of guys, right? You have Bassett, Wainwright, Stroman. There's a good amount of guys. Framber Valdez. Like I don't love any of these guys. I think that they're fine tournament plays. If you personally watching this have a lot of conviction with one of those guys, then that's fine. You can go play. I personally don't love anyone in that tier. I really like Burns. He's only 10,200, right? He's only 200 more expensive than the next pitcher on the slate, which is Valdez. I'm just going to play more Burns at that price. Don't love anyone in that upper tier after Burns personally.
Yeah, so pitcher for me is super easy tonight. I will say I completely agree. There are options that you can use, like Bassett's 100% fine. Nathan Eovaldi, especially in a 7-inning game, is 100% fine. But your SP1's going to be Corbin Burns. Literally everyone should be using him. It's just a great matchup. And then for me, there's two other pitchers that I'm considering, and that's basically the pool that I want to go with. It's at 8,600, Alec Manoa. I really like the matchup against Washington. He's been throwing well. I know he's due for regression, but he's avoided it up until this point, and he's been due for quite some time. but a plus matchup. It just doesn't feel like tonight's the night where he's going to get absolutely torched. So at 8,600, I do think that Manoa is 100% fine. Or I believe you can dip all the way down to 7,300, and the returning Huascar Yona is way too cheap. He should be at minimum 8,500. I think his advanced metrics on the season are great. He gets a good strikeout matchup, even though Miami has been playing relatively well as an offense. They do just strike out a ton, and he gets a big umpire boost tonight. So that's going to be my pool of 3 pitchers. I think it's going to be easy because their price tags are so different to get whatever stack you want with them. With that said, though, like I don't mind playing other guys. I'm fine with like Nathan Eovaldi, Logan Webb at 88, Rasmussen at 59 even. I don't have any issues if you want to go there. There's a lot of options that you can use in tournaments. It's just there's 3 guys that I have in a tier above literally everyone else. So I think that I probably am just going to use those 3 or a combination of those 3 and move on to the bats tonight.
Yeah, I think for cash games, 100% on DraftKings on this slate, you're playing Burns and Ynoa together. It's important to remember this isn't a serious injury that he's coming back from in terms of like shoulder or elbow, right? Like he just punched something because he was mad and broke his hand. So, it's not like he had like an elbow and he's going to be limited or something. Like I think he got pretty much up to his full workload in his rehab starts. He should be good to go for this start, and it's a good matchup. We saw Touki Toussaint push 30% ownership on DraftKings last night. I think, we'll probably get around that tonight. He won't be a secret in that matchup. He's really like just way too cheap. So I think for cash games, you just play Burns on him and move on. Tournaments, there are tons of options, which you kind of talked about. I think Manoa is fine for GPPs. I like Logan Webb a lot at his price. Mets offense hasn't been great. He's actually, over the last month, been one of the better pitchers on this slate, Webb that is. Don't love his price tag, but I think for tournaments you could consider him. And then the other guy I was going to mention is Luis Gayle. It looks like he's starting the second game of the doubleheader for the Yankees. We've only seen him twice, but 32% strikeout rate over those 2 starts. Don't love the matchup against Boston, but I think he has upside and someone you could look at in tournaments.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Webb's a guy that sticks out. The $8,800 price tag is so crazy because we've kind of been on him when he was like mid 7s, and now he just gets that massive price bump, and it's like I'm still willing to play him at it. It's just I don't know. I feel like I would rather play Manoa for 200 cheaper.
Yeah, I can certainly see that that aspect of it. I think we can move on to stacks. So if you guys like a different pitcher, go ahead and comment below the video and tell us which pitcher you are playing tonight. But I think for cash, anyways, like it's super clear. Just play Burns and Ynoa and move on. Stacks, I'm going to be curious to see what you think here. I think obviously we have Coors Field, so people will be playing that. Marquez is throwing for the Rockies, though, so that kind of takes some of the appeal away from the Padres. Yesterday, I think it was contrarian for me saying that I preferred the Rockies to the Padres. Tonight, that will not be the case. More people will be playing the Rockies, I feel like. But outside of that game, there's 3 stacks I really like. One is the Twins against Eli Morgan. He's just bad. He's actually been worse against righties than he is lefties, but overall numbers really just not good. So I really like the Twins. I really like the Dodgers against Will Crow. And I really like just like both sides of the Phillies Diamondbacks game. I think there's a lot of good offensive plays there. So that's kind of my 3 favorites. I don't know if you have one that I didn't mention.
Yeah, the 2 that really stuck out to me are the Dodgers and the Twins. So 100% on the same page there. The only other one that I like, that I do feel like is going to be pretty contrarian, is the Tampa Bay Rays. I like where their offense is at. They get a matchup against John Means, who's thrown well, but none of his advanced metrics suggest that he's going to continue to throw well. And his home run per 9 is at almost 2 on the season. So when you put him in a matchup against, a team like Tampa Bay that has a lot of right-handed bats that can really do quite a bit of damage, I think that they're in a good spot. especially once they get Means out of the game and they get to the Baltimore bullpen. That is the worst bullpen on the slate. So I do think that Tampa Bay is kind of sneaky because their total isn't that high with, Means throwing well. His ERA is at like 3.21. His xFIP is well over 4 though, and he's just not actually throwing nearly as well. And I know that you've been on John Means for the last couple of years, but I feel like this is just kind of like a really good matchup for Tampa Bay, the way that their offense is.
No, I'm actually a closet Rays fan. Like 2 years ago, I remember I tweeted out I was adopting the Rays as my new baseball team because I am I don't know, the Indians, they don't do it for me, man.
Can't get behind
Yeah,
them.
I can't get behind them anymore. I just can't get behind teams willingly losing. So yeah, I said I was adopting the Rays. So closet Rays fan. So I will always play the Rays. I think that's a fine call. And then I didn't mention the Astros, but I think they have a pretty decent team total, Vegas
Mhm.
wise. You can certainly look at them against a lefty for sure.
Yeah, Lynch is really bad too. So
Yeah.
I do like that. It's just the problem that I have with someone like Daniel Lynch is that the home runs just generally aren't there. And there are guys on the slate like Eli Morgan, Will Crow, where the opponents are in really good spots and the pitchers just give up tons of home runs. And that's kind of what you want to look for in stacks. So I do like someone like Houston. I have literally no issues whatsoever if you want to stack them, but just the home run factor puts them a tier below Minnesota and the Dodgers for me.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get into the positional plays here. We'll start off at catcher. I think if you're spending up, I like Will Smith a lot, fitting with that Dodgers theme. I'm sure you will agree with that. It kind of depends on cores. We'll see who's in the lineup for the Rockies. I like Diaz if he is in the lineup. The one I want to mention is Carson Kelly. Kyle Gibson has just been really bad, man. I think he got scratched from his last start when I was talking about him on the podcast, but more walks than strikeouts over the last month. Kelly's projected to bat fourth, so obviously we don't have that lineup at 10 a.m. But if he is batting fourth, or even if he's not, I like him at his price today.
Yeah, I agree. I can add some cheaper punt options. I think at 2,300, Martin Maldonado is way too cheap. Tucker Barnhart at 29 is too cheap. And then if you want to drop down to almost the min, Austin Hedges is still 21, and he gets a pretty solid matchup against Bailey Ober.
Yeah, yesterday it was pretty clear that like I was going to be playing two expensive pitchers. Today we have Yanoa, who is cheap, so I might actually have some more room to spend up at catcher, so I might not need to punt today, but we'll wait and see on lineups. First base, I will let you lead off here.
First base, I feel like still Connor Joe is just a stupid price tag. 2,800. He's obviously leading off, gets another matchup against a lefty, even though this will be more bullpen than just Strom throwing deep into the game. I feel like he makes an elite option, especially because he's outfield eligible as well. On the same team, you have CJ Krohn. I have no problems whatsoever with that. If you're spending up more, I do think that Max Muncy, he's now only first base eligible because DraftKings loves just twisting around their positions like no tomorrow. But I do think that Max Muncy at 5,400 makes a really good option. Aldames Diaz still underpriced at 3,300, especially in a matchup against someone like Daniel Lynch. And then, I mean, if you want to go with like some lower owned guys, I think that Joey Votto is still viable. I think you can use Yuli Gurriel. And if you want to go all the way up to 6,400, because there are salary relief pitchers, Vlad Guerrero Jr., I can't imagine many people play him tonight.
Yeah, I think you covered first really well. Do want to shout out Joey Votto really quick. Second player in the history of the MLB to get their 2,000th hit, 300th home run, and 1,000th RBI in the same season. So that's pretty cool that he was able to accomplish that. Doesn't ever get a lot of credit, I feel like, but he's been super consistent for really the bulk of
Mm-hmm.
you and I's life. He's
Pretty
been really
much,
good. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, he's been really good. But yeah, I think you covered first pretty well. CJ Krohn saved us in cash last night. Ended up winning cash games. CJ Krohn had a big home run. He's probably my top play here, just because you can use Connor Joe at outfield. So I'm just probably going to save him for outfield and then use CJ Krohn at first in cash games. In tournaments, Muncy I think is the best spend up. You also have Otani, who, I don't know if people will play him at 6,500, so that's probably where I would look in terms of spend ups. Mid tier, Eric Hosmer's below 4K, so I think I would go with him if I wanted a mid tier play.
Yeah, I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah, we'll move on to second base. Um, I want to just go back to Jorge Polanco here. I played him. I played Brandon Lau on FanDuel yesterday. I played Jorge Polanco on DraftKings. I just want to go back to him. Morgan's allowing a 236 ISO to left-handed hitters. We kind of went over yesterday. Polanco has been really good batted ball-wise over the last 14 days. He's been seeing the ball really well. He's still really cheap, so he has to be my favorite play here. There's some good spend-ups if you talk about Brendan Rodgers, Trey Turner, but Polanco I think is my favorite overall play.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Adam Frazier's a little cheap at 3,900 just for the game environment, but I prefer Polanco there. I think if you want to drop down even farther, you can go with someone like Luis Ariz. Brendan Rodgers, you kind of talked about. Trey Turner at 5K against Will Crow is just way too cheap. Jose Altuve, if you want to spend up a little more, makes a great option. I think we kind of need to talk about Jonathan India and how absolutely insane he's been playing. So
Johnny
a
India,
lot
man,
of
let's go. Ever since I called, I gave him like a week and a half ago. I was like, Johnny India home run. He didn't hit a home run, but he's been on fire since then. That is my boy.
but it's what got him
Oh,
going
100%.
easily. But man, he has been good. He's still only 4,500. Lot of upside there. It's actually, he it's pretty shocking. I think he has 3 home runs in his last 5 games. Multi-hit games, I think, in every one of them. He just has a lot of upside, especially as a leadoff hitter for the Reds, who have been one of the hotter offenses. And obviously, we know that they play very well at home.
Yeah, dude's just a monster. So 100% can get behind that. Third base. I mean, I think a lot of people will want to spend up here. Machado, he was really chalky yesterday. People will want to go back there, even against Marquez, which I'm fine with in cash games. You also have Jose Ramirez. Bailey Ober, really, really bad against lefties. Ramirez always kind of been better against righties than lefties, so I think you could consider him as a spend up. But Josh Donaldson's price is down below 4K on DraftKings. We were kind of talking about how we want to pick on Eli Morgan, but he's actually been worse against righties than lefties this season. 350 WOBA, over a 350 WOBA allowed to righties. Gives up big time power. So I like Donaldson now that his price is down a little bit.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed the position. I think the only guy that I'll add, but also at 3,500. So, I prefer Donaldson to Eugenio Suarez, but I think that both of them can be used, especially Suarez in tournaments.
Yeah, and then shortstop's kind of the same, right? Like we had this conversation yesterday, whether to play Tatis Jr. or Trevor Story. I think people will have that same conversation today, and that's where most people will be going in cash games with the presence of a really cheap mid-tier pitcher that you can use. You'll have money to spend. I like Story a little bit more, but I really like it's kind of splitting hairs, right? You can use either of them.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But once again, similar to yesterday, I think you probably do anything you can to get to one of those two. I do think that there's other very solid options, most of them higher priced, like Corey Seager. I'm 100% fine with Trey Turner. I like Marcus Semien, Bo Bichette. All of them are solid options. I think if you have to move off of Tatis or Story, like Jake Cronenworth at 3,900, that's a terrible misprice. The problem is Tatis and Cronenworth are both only shortstop eligible, which is kind of ridiculous on DraftKings part, but you can only play one of the two. I think obviously, you spend up at shortstop, but if you do need a safe salary, 3,900 for Cronenworth is pretty crazy.
Yeah, he's way too cheap. I have no problems, especially if you're stacking like a different team other than the Padres. So you don't have a bunch of Padres and you're just looking for a one-off. That could be a way. Normally I don't like to one-off Coors Field, but that could be a way to do it because he's going to be so much lower owned than Tatis Jr. He is cheaper, so he can kind of just fit in and give you some Padres exposure if you're picking a different team to stack. And then Seager, I think for sure, outside of Coors, is definitely my favorite play. We can finish up here at outfield. We'll start with the spend up guys. Far and away, my favorite spend up today is Bryce Harper. Caleb Smith has been really bad in general this season. He does have strikeout ability, but overall not good. And he's been significantly worse against lefties than he has righties. He throws a ton of fastballs, I think around half of the time, to lefties. Bryce is a really good fastball hitter. He's always been decent lefty on lefty. But I think just in general, the lefty on lefty matchup will keep people off of him. But I actually think it's a bonus for tonight, just with how bad Smith has been in the split. So I really like Bryce tonight if spending up. You have Nelson Cruz against a lefty. You can use him at any time against a left-handed pitcher, but I think Bryce is probably my favorite spend up.
Yeah, Harper's one of my favorite too. The other guy that I would say has like a really, really high spend up is George Springer, assuming he's in the lineup. I like him in a matchup against Eric Fetty a lot. And then you have guys like Jordan Alvarez. I have no problems whatsoever. Teoscar Hernandez, if you're sticking with Toronto, I like all of them. Nelson Cruz is probably the next guy that sticks out, though, especially under 5,000.
Yeah, and then you have the Twins guys like Max Kepler. I really wanted to play him yesterday. He ended up hitting a home run. I think you can go back to him tonight. And then Brent Rooker is really cheap. We know he has huge power upside. We kind of discussed Morgan being worse versus righties and lefties, so I like him. Connor Joe, who you mentioned at first, 100% lock at outfield and cash games. So I'm probably just going to be plugging in CJ Krohn, Bryce Harper, Connor Joe. Like those are guys I'm going to be building my team around for cash. So I think it's pretty clear where you want to go for like a main team, but for tournaments, like you can still use Connor Joe in tournaments as well because he's just too cheap.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think another cheap option is Tyler Naquin. He's only 2,300. That's way too cheap. You have other guys that you can use as well. Chris Taylor's outfield eligible. I do like him. Nick Castellanos is still only 4,500. Randy Arozarena is 4,200, which is just a dumb price tag, especially if he's leading off for Tampa Bay. A lot of different ways you can go, which isn't surprising with 15 games, but you're kind of going to have to pick and choose who you want to use out here.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you guys very much for watching the video. Another reminder, please like the video, join the Discord. These are free. It takes little to no time to do so. As far as Discord, I don't know why you guys wouldn't want to join a free Discord. You can get in there, ask us questions, annoy us about whatever it is you want to. Before we head out, I need a home run call from you, Bales.
I am so locked in on this one.
All right.
There's no way it's not happening. It's Mike Zunino.
Mike Zunino. All right. Maybe, see, that's someone I could see myself playing at catcher on DraftKings tonight. Once lineups come out and I'm building my team, he might just fit in. So if that's the case, I do hope that happens.
He's going for the fifth game in a row with a home run. It's
unbelievable, man.
It's good. It's happening.
I'm gonna go with Jorge Polanco for mine. But yeah, I like that Zunino call, a little bit off the wall. Like I said, thank you guys very much for watching. We do appreciate it. Like the video. Good luck tonight in your contests, and we'll see you again on Wednesday.